Reclaiming Timeless Ways, another episode underway. Mike Traster, Simon Fuller, glad to have you along with us. And Mike, show number 67, titled
Pets.
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 We love our pets.
We love our pets. Oh, do we ever. He's got an absolute just
We got one off in the corner.
angel.
Yeah, once in a while. She's made it into a few episodes, Mike,
Yeah.
as has my wife's dog. When they get to wander in here, they sneak their way. You'll see them nudging our hands about right here. You'll see us moving. That's because they're nosing us. And but what a wonderful, wonderful addition to creation. The idea of pets.
I have a thing that I deeply believe is true,
Okay?
and that is that there's a little bit of Eden left in the world,
Sure.
and it shows up in our pets.
Yeah.
And that I think they're of a higher order than we are.
Yeah?
They're more true, they're more simple, they're more innocent, they're kinder,
I would agree with
you know.
that in many respects.
Yeah. So how did you choose her?
You know, it's funny. She was, and you said in a different episode, there are no accidents, but she wasn't purposeful. She had a half sister. I bought her half sister at actually a Pheasants Forever banquet. I wanted a short hair pointer hunting dog. I wanted one litter of puppies. I had a male at the time, and I was going to get a puppy, and so bought it at this banquet. Wasn't ready to come home for a few more weeks. Of course, they have all the cute puppies there, but that was just so you could pick which one out of the litter. And as they started eating solid food, developed a hernia, which you can breed a dog that has had that, but once they repair that, they suggest you don't. So this breeder was a very nice guy. Said, I want, I can give you a different puppy. No, I chose her. This was Emma. This is not my dog currently.
Right.
How about I give you two of them? No, I don't want two. Good God, I've already got one. He didn't feel right about it. He could not make that okay in his mind. He was just that kind of a guy, wanted to do right by it. So
boy, don't you like that?
a year and a half went by, and all of a sudden, he just, because he was just so insistent, I ended up with another puppy from a litter of his. That was Olive.
Okay.
He still just wasn't going to let that go, so he really wanted to do right by that, felt terrible. And the irony of that, Mike, you talk about timing, and everything happens for a reason. My male that I wanted to have a litter, because I really loved him at the time, he had developed later in life hip dysplasia, which is highly contagious. When I say contagious, hereditary,
Right.
contagious. And so had I probably would have bred him by then and passed along that gene that I'm glad I didn't. So I never did breed him.
Sure.
And he still lived a few more years. Hips got worse as he went, and but never did have one of his offspring. But it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So long story short, Olive kind of, I don't know, in a roundabout way picked me. I don't even know how you classify that one, Mike. Sometimes you go up and it seems like the pet picks you. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think that angels are busy helping to direct our lives.
Sure.
I believe that. I really do. Now, she is extraordinarily sweet.
Yeah.
Really?
Had a lot of pets, and she is certainly amongst the top. You hate to rate them. I've got a buddy, we'll talk about this. He's
Right.
more of a cat guy. I'm more of a dog guy. I've got a lot of cats too.
There's therapy for that.
Yeah, I know. I try to, but he says, I don't know. You never know how to rank them. You just love
Right.
them all different for different reasons.
Right.
And so Olive certainly still ranks up there in terms of just being an all-around loving, loyal pet. But they all have their characteristics. And you're right, at different points in your life and where you're at in your world, they just always seem to bring something positive.
Oh, something, they fill you up, So I think I wrote down a bunch of words. Patience.
Yeah.
We have to be patient with them, because they're innocent,
Right.
especially when they're babies, but always,
Right.
Even
when you've gone home and they chewed up that whole roll of paper towels,
right, yeah,
maybe a
that's
shoe or
nothing.
two,
Right.
or the whole trash bag is ripped and spread on your floor. You want to talk about exercising patience, Mike? But they're innocent. They're bored. They're hungry. They're snacking. They're exploring. They're no different than a kid.
They're brilliant
In that-
and they're stupid.
You're right.
Kind of reminds me of people.
But boy,
You know.
have I had to express some, or really think about patience in some of those moments.
yeah.
You look back though and look at us laughing. In other words, you've experienced that too, I suspect.
Absolutely. Oh, God, my Golden Cross hound, who was gorgeous. I called him the Robert Redford of dogs. He was magnificent. People would see me with him, strangers, and they would say, he's so beautiful, can I have him?
Yeah,
And they meant it.
yeah.
It's amazing. He would destroy everything in sight for the first year and a half of his life.
Oh, yeah.
I called him the electrician. He destroyed all the wiring under my dashboard of my old truck. Unbelievable. So I'm sitting there with tape, putting wires together that didn't match, but it made it work. Illnesses. Different pets have different propensities for different illnesses. It's
Yeah.
a tough thing to deal with,
Yeah.
Injuries, of course, and that takes more patience and love. My lab grew up in 1 year, and then he was just a prince,
Yeah.
The golden hound, two plus years.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly. He was just silly.
And again, just like humans,
Yeah. Yeah.
some are working full-time by the time they're out of high school, and some are still trying to figure out their path in their 40s, 30s,
Right.
40s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Teaching. How do you teach them, One thing that struck me a while back was, we always think in terms of intelligence, like how much smarter we are than them. But they learn our language a lot better than we learn theirs. How come? If we're that much smarter, how come they understand so much of what we say, and we understand very little of what they say?
They're definitely more attentive. That's part of it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because some critters, if you pay attention to them, what they're wanting. They're hungry, thirsty, they want out. She'll go, Olive, again out of the screen, when she's thirsty or I haven't filled her water bowl, she'll let me know. She'll go over there and push it around, and make noise.
Right.
And I'll be like, I'm going to be there in a minute. Hold on, because I'm doing something. And she'll just give it a second. She'll do it again. It's like she's reminding me, but I have to pay attention. So half of it is pay attention.
There's a guy on the internet, and I think he's German, and he's involved in rescuing dogs. And he's a real rough-looking fella. Looks like MMA kind of guy,
Sure.
just built like a tank. And oh boy, the love that this guy has for these animals, just selfless, pure, tender-hearted, like a baby, like he's holding a baby, And you can see the way these animals just kind of collapse into him. Amazing. Every animal plays different. I remember the lab that I had, he liked to play very rough.
Well, yeah.
Just we would have a happy war.
Right.
I would put on 2 old winter coats and heavy gloves, and he would attack me. And we would have a war in the backyard. We were laughing. It was just pure, fun.
Yeah.
None of my other dogs ever wanted that.
Right.
That was unique to him. So, and I'm sure your other dog is very different than her.
Oh, yeah. I've had pretty much since, far as I can remember in my youth, we've had a dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or dogs.
I think that it's okay to see them as being, they're more vulnerable in some ways than we are. Like there's some birds and a squirrel or 2 that I feed outside. And so they come up to the deck. And the squirrel will sit there while I'm like 1.5 feet away from him, feeding him. But he's still pretty skittish. The birds come a little close. But the world is not always kind to the things that live in it. It can be
Sure.
15, 20 below zero. at some point today. That's brutal. So if we can ease their difficulty, if we're inspired to do that, I think it's good to just listen to your own insides and say, okay, what am I led to do here? And then do it.
Yeah.
Well, you help critters,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My wife had a post on Facebook just this morning. I woke up to it. She wakes up much easier than me at night, and it said, heard a cat fight outside of the door. Went out there, and there were 15 cats looking at me as I was scolding them. She says, I counted them. And so we've got some of the neighbor ones all out kind of this unfinished area outside of our living space, so they're still indoors out of the elements.
Yeah.
And especially now where it's cold in Iowa, depending on where you're watching this and what time of year, it's very, very cold right
Very
now.
cold.
And they all seek refuge in there during the winter months especially. So there was a spat, and she went out there scolding them all. But yeah, we take care of them, and we enjoy that
Yeah.
more times than not.
Well, you have this compassion that lives in you, and you have a choice to allow it to express or to suppress it and ignore it. And I think when you honor that kind of compassion, that compassionate instinct, makes your life better.
Yeah.
And you reduce suffering in the life of another creature.
And as you said, there is an innocence
There is.
to that, to them.
I saw a thing the other day, it's funny as hell, but really stunning. There's a rat, a wild rat under a house, right? And there's a rat trap. So it's like a big mouse trap, about that big, and it's got a big chunk of cheese on it. A rat comes over and he inspects it, but he's careful. It's like if the thing is here, he stays about an inch, half an inch back. He wants that cheese. So he comes back with, I can't remember if it was a stick or a pencil, and he dropped it on the trap. He set the trap off. Trap went, and he walked over and took the cheese. Smart,
Yeah.
And he didn't sacrifice his nose or his foot. He made a tool,
Yeah.
And I've seen a bunch of stuff on birds making tools. Octopi are really smart in terms of problem solving like that. There's a lot of animals
Yeah.
that are, It's remarkable. So intelligence takes on many, many forms. I remember my shepherd, I had taught him to say a few words, not too many, but hello and how are you and I love you. And it was wonderful. He was just groaning and mumbling one day, and I thought, he's pretty smart. And he's got that deep, expressive voice. With enough repetition and good, reinforcement, maybe I can teach him to speak. And he did. He learned a few phrases. And you see people do it with huskies a lot. They're funny as hell. What do you...
Moral of the story, get a pet, Mike.
Eventually. Yeah.
No, I mean, all of us need one.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I know you have, you had that loss. In time, you will
Yes.
have another one, I'm
I
sure.
think so. In part to honor him,
Yeah. But they're worth every bit of it.
Pick your veterinarians carefully. And if there's a way that a bad vet tech can be sent to jail for malicious neglect, it should happen. I'll leave it at that.
Reclaiming timeless ways. Until next time, have a great day.